Hello, my name is Nicole, and thank you so much for taking this time out to listen. Today, I titled this message, A Glimpse at What Relationships Really Look Like. A glimpse at what relationships really look like. Some people are caught in a fantasy world, if you will, where they believe that a relationship looks like the bedroom. They believe that a relationship looks like a couple in the kitchen, helping each other cook. They believe that a relationship looks like that same couple going into a child's bedroom at night and giving the child kisses on his or her cheeks. A glimpse at what relationships really look like. The truth of the matter is that Hollywood has painted a picture like an artist does. An artist will paint this beautiful picture of a landscape and will include all of the details based on what his or her vision is. So these people who come up with these thoughts, if you will, of what relationships look like, they're painting the picture based on their personal experiences. So if their experience was quite lovely, then of course the way they describe a relationship would be quite positive. If their experiences have been negative, then of course they're going to present the relationship as a negative thing. But what do relationships really look like? Let's think about it. If the Bible says that we are supposed to act like Jesus, and if the Bible warns us that if we don't, this, that, and the other will happen, and then, of course, the scriptures that talk about love, and all of these things that are in the Bible that we're supposed to do, if we're not doing them, then what are relationships really looking like? Well, we see them show up in divorces. We see them show up in domestic violence and dating violence incidents. We see how relationships really look when a couple is not talking to one another after a disagreement. We see how relationships look when people just don't like one another after being together for a long period of time. Oh, we see what relationships really look like. And so if we see them for what they are, it isn't any wonder why some of us doesn't want to be a part of any of that. That looks bad to me. That doesn't look good. Now, if we are following the principles of the Bible, if we are trusting and believing in God and our relationship looks good with Him, we're spending the necessary time in His Word, praying, meditating, fellowshipping with like-minded believers on and off the internet. Okay, we have some idea of what a quality relationship, a healthy, a functional relationship looks like. And so therefore we take our spiritual relationship, the things that we have learned in our relationship with the Lord, and we apply those things in our personal relationships with human beings. If we do that effectively, then we just might be able to weather the storm with some folks that aren't necessarily altogether good for us, right? Whether that relationship is a family relationship, an intimate relationship, a workplace relationship, you'll be able to deal with that difficult person because you have taken what you have learned from your spiritual relationship with the Lord and you have applied it to your physical relationship, to your natural relationships. Okay? You can also take that same knowledge and apply it emotionally as well, mentally, you see, when dealing with troubled individuals. you see. You can be able to connect with them on a level that other people can't because of your spiritual teachings. So while everybody else is trying to deal with things from the book or from the degree or from what they heard or from what they read, you can be able to deal with individuals from a spiritual perspective and touch them in places that other people just can't. It can be done, saint. It can be done if you're willing and if you're able to put the work in, setting the time aside each day. It can be done. What do relationships really look like in the eyes of God? Well, from the Bible and all of those stories of people going through much heartache and upset and so forth, to God, they're just broken folks that need healing. They're like broken pottery that needs to be reshaped, remolded, glued back together, what have you. God doesn't give up on us. We give up on him. We might not give up on ourselves, but we'll give up on other people. We ask God for his mercy, but do we ask others for their mercy? We ask God to forgive us, but do we ask others to forgive us? We ask God for love, for peace, for patience, for comfort. We ask him for many things, but are we utilizing what we have received and applying those things to our relationships? We want people to be kind and patient and sweet and wonderful with us, but are we doing that with them? Relationships are give and take. That's what we have heard from various psychologists. We've also heard over the years how we need to use an I feel language as opposed to pointing the finger at folks. We have also heard about using our listening skills more so than using our mouth when addressing the needs of others. Oh, we have been given such wise advice from some of the most unlikeliest sources. But God is still present. All the more, he has a way of creeping into the back door, if you will, and giving us valuable life lessons on how we should behave with one another. Relationships don't have to look so bad. Relationships don't have to be so bad. We don't have to always go through all sorts of storms. Sometimes we can bypass the storms by just not wanting to fight. I don't need to defend today. I don't want to argue today. I don't want to have to explain or teach today. I just want to be in the moment. Can I be in the moment? Sometimes the realness of a relationship is simply just being in the moment. No, he doesn't want you to give him a long list of what you like or don't like. He doesn't want any direction today. No, she doesn't want you to point out everything that she did wrong. No, the children don't need to be structured all the time. Sometimes they just want to run wild and be free. Give yourself a vacation every now and again. Give yourself some peace. Give yourself that restful place where nothing matters. And when you come out of that, trust you me, everybody will see a difference. What do relationships really look like without God? They look just like I said earlier. There's the presence of divorce. There's the presence of anger. There's the presence of bitterness. There's the presence of fighting. Oh, some of you all, you've been dealing with lying and cheating and stealing and conniving in relationships. You've been dealing with some backbiting and some nasty folks. And I've got plenty of audios that will address each specific problem, but you've been dealing with much. And you've been dealing with much because God just isn't with some folks. Let's just put it simple. If they're not reaching out to the Lord and they're not walking with the Lord and taking him seriously, and they're not making any changes within themselves, they're not trusting that God can speak to them on some issues and work some problems out, then yes, there's going to be problems, and relationships are not going to look good. Not at home, not at work, not in the church, not in the civic group, not out on the street, not with the friends. It's just going to always be some kind of problem going on with some people. And rather than keep giving some people the pass all the time, this is when you have to fall back. This is when you have to cut some conversations short. This is when you have to bypass some folks. This is when you have to figure out some ways not to work with some people. This is when you have to start orchestrating some plans to make life easier for yourself. God does not expect us to stick it out in situations where he has not even ordained or appointed folk. You don't have to keep battling. For some of you all, like you've been battling, you're making things too hard. You're making this walk too complex because you're not taking the simplicity of God's teachings and applying them to your life. Instead, you're looking at God's teachings, especially where relationships are concerned, and you're making them so challenging and difficult because you want to wrap up tradition. And you want to wrap up what the minister said in it. And you want to wrap up what this one said and that one said. And your past experience and what you learned about the ex. Some of you all, yes, you study the ex like you study a textbook. You study the children of the ex like you do a textbook. You're so caught up in somebody else's past that is why your relationship will not last. Some of you all are fighting a losing battle because that wasn't the person that you were supposed to be involved with from the beginning. Some of you all don't have enough strength to be able to withstand all of the stuff that's coming at you because you are operating on spiritual fumes. You just haven't spent enough time with God to be able to withstand the pressure. You haven't been able to focus long enough on the Lord to be able to be a help to people who call you, who come around you. Instead, some of you all, you push back on things. You say, no, God, I can't handle that. That's too much. And God says, okay, well, I will take this off of you. And Lord, oh, why are you going to cause me to do this, that, and the other? And I really don't want to talk to this person and all of that. Okay. And so God makes your burdens light. But then after a while, though, you still are going to have to get to that place where you listen and obey him. I mean, you can't just keep sitting on the bench. You can't keep hiding behind pain and what you went through and what you can't tolerate. He is going to come back around with some challenges for you. So during this time, it would make sense to be fasting, to be praying, to be doing all the things that you can do to build up your spiritual strength. Of course, according to the will of the Lord. Lord Jesus, Lord Jesus. Some of you all, you can do it. You can really have a quality relationship that doesn't look like the television. It can be done. I know some of you all are so caught up in the fantasy world of television and all that comes with it that you really think that, nah, it really can't be done. But it can be. It can be. I know sometimes it's difficult dealing with a partner because he or she doesn't look so attractive on some days, or maybe what they're saying just is really annoying or what have you. But you can have a quality relationship, but it starts with you having a relationship with yourself. Telling yourself that I am going to be in a good mood today. Come hell or high water. I choose to be in love with the spirit that God has put within me. I choose to surround myself around positive people, places, and things so that I'm not going to be difficult for my partner, so that my partner is not eye rolling and deep sighing and saying, oh, here we go again, listening to this and listening to that and dealing with this and dealing with that. When will she get over this thing? Or when will he just stop it? And you're complaining, you're murmuring and so forth. For some of you all, you've been doing it for far too long. And I hate to say it, but that has opened up the door for the enemy to come on in and start tempting your partner to go somewhere else. I know some of you all don't want to hear it. And some of you others who you've been trusting in the Lord for a long time, but you still don't like what's happening in your personal relationship. The Lord says you're going to have to trust him all the more. You're still going to have to pray. It is because of what you're going through is why your relationship is actually still intact in some twisted way. Some of you all are like, what? God's been putting you through the fire, refining you and everything else because of the difficult person that you're with. And then when it is time to move on, you will know, because God will make it so. And don't worry about people around you who's going to judge you. And don't worry about those individuals who got better relationships than you. At least that's what you think. And don't be so concerned about that partner who is doing some sneaky stuff behind your back. Oh, God exposes all of it. And people do reap what they sow. So even though you don't feel like justice is being served, oh, God is a God of justice. And justice will be served. It may not be served up in the way that you want it to be, but it will be served. What is in darkness will come out into the light. Just continue to pray for whoever it is that is giving you much grief, being difficult. Ask the Lord to give you the strength to be able to overcome all of the obstacles that he or she might put in your path. Ask the Lord to just give you more love and more peace and more patience with these individuals. Ask the Lord to give you freedom when the time comes, the courage to go on. Because some people, when the freedom does come, they've been so stuck in mess for so long that they get comfortable in it and don't want to leave. But you don't want to be in that mindset, because freedom doesn't come around too often for some people who make some major mistakes in their lives. You know, it's not like the bus that comes every 10 minutes in a metropolitan city. Oh, no. Freedom can come every 5, 10, 15, 20 some years. Oh, you may have gotten out of one relationship, but then you may have to stay in another relationship for many years. So when the opportunity comes to be free, take it. Enjoy it, love it, appreciate it. Thank the Lord for it. Even when you're crying, even when your stomach hurts, even when you wish that the person was still in your life, even when you're tempted to do something that you shouldn't be doing, even when you want to go back and you're just believing that, oh, things are going to get better. You can get a play-by-play perspective on abusive relationships on Laboring to Love an Abusive Mate.blogspot.com. So I thank you so much for taking this time out to take a good glimpse at what relationships really look like. And hopefully you will see the truth and you will apply it to your life or help someone else apply it to theirs. Thank you so much for listening.